What's up, guys? So in this video I just want to do a product review on the paints that I use. I've been using Golden Acrylics for quite a while now, and I just want to talk about how good they are versus the other brands that I was using. I did use this other brand for a while too. They're called the Winsor & Newton, and they come in two different forms. They come in oils and water mixable oils too. So I've been using both those brands for a few years now, and I noticed that when I did use the Golden Acrylics versus the water mixable oils, that the color composition, it came out much better. And so I want to show you the differences between these paint brands. I also want to show you how important it is to choose the right brand of paints depending on what you're painting. I want to show you some side-by-side comparisons of my paintings that I had done with Winsor & Newton on the left side and with the Golden Acrylics on the right. Do you notice any difference? Look at Sean Connery's portrait on the left, and with this one I really tried to make it look realistic and finely detailed. The overall quality still does fall short. The painting looks overall grainy, and I did try to layer the colors on here and be precise, but the low quality of these paints held me back. Now on the right side here, look at how sharp the paints turn out, all the details, with the skin textures and lighting. These colors have a superior integrity to them on all levels. They look solid, no microscopic gaps inside the paints when you brush them on the canvas, and their precision in the smallest texture here is unmatched. Now for these landscapes. Look at how on the left I did indeed get lots of detail and color, but somehow nothing stands out. Everything seems kind of suppressed. Now notice on the right here we have all sorts of color coming out and radiating. Even the colors that I have desaturated in the back with the clouds and background trees have a more solid appearance to them. Check out these two other portraits. Look at how on the left we have the colors looking pretty flat, muted, and not that dynamic. However, notice how on the right side here the colors are much more dynamic, with the bright flesh tones really coming out, and how the dark parts seem to have much more of a solid appearance to them. The colors look more like they have a glow to them. Here's an example of some rocks that I painted. They both look realistic, but notice how much sharper the one on the right is, with all those cuts and textures in it that I had no trouble making, and in contrast with the one on the left, where it was much more difficult to paint the smaller detailed parts of it. Here's a couple other examples I have here, and notice how different the colors came out. No matter how hard I tried to add detail or color or more layers, the colors turned out dull and muddy in some places. That's what happens when you have to keep adding stuff to the paint to dilute the original color. So let me demonstrate how they mix. Here I have some sample colors from Winsor & Newton. Notice how when I mix them that their viscosity is really low, and it makes the mixing more difficult. It's almost always required to use some type of medium or water or turpentine to dilute the mixture, and as a result the color quality gets lessened, so you're left with some muddy or desaturated colors that you're using for your painting. Notice how the brush stroke with these paints is grainy. If you're trying to paint small and sharp detail, you're going to really have to labor to get that fine tip brush with the right color and mixture. You're going to end up going back and forth between the canvas and the palette many more times than you need to reapply the paint. Don't get me wrong though, these are not bad paints if you're using them as a beginner and or experimenting with different studies in painting. But if you're working on your next masterpiece or even commission, these are a definite no. When it comes to oil paints, never shortchange yourself by getting the cheap brands like this if you are going to be more ambitious in your artistic endeavors. Now let's see the Golden Acrylics here. Mixing them is a breeze and requires no medium at all to mix them, unless you choose to add some type of enhancer for the colors. Also notice how smoother the brushing is. Using the right paint brand is more important than I had once thought. I used to always think that my skill level can surpass whatever paint I buy, but after noticing patterns in which of my paintings sold more often than others, I decided to switch brands. So in a way, this video turned out to be an advertisement for Golden Acrylics, but also a warning about the importance of picking the right brand of paints depending on your goals with your paintings. So if you ever find yourself stuck in a plateau with your artwork, ask yourself if your own supplies are holding you back. Thanks for watching, and I'll see you next time.